Hey you guys. So I did a hooded eye tutorial the other day. Every time I do a video where I sat down and really give you guys a lot of tips and tricks and do in-depth things around makeup techniques, you guys love it. And I haven't done a foundation or complexion video in over a year. I'm doing something very different than I was this time last year versus this time 6 months ago versus this time 18 months ago. I feel like my complexion routine changes all the time. But I think that what I'm going to show you today, you will be able to take something from it, even if we have completely different skin tones and skin types. There will be things you can use. But overall, the goal of this particular type of a complexion routine is to look good in pictures and in person and on camera, if for whatever reason you need to be on camera. It needs to last, and it needs to look youthful and light, because the reason I'm titling it For the Grown Folk is because I feel like so much of what I see, not everything obviously, but so much of what I see about makeup as it pertains to complexion is for beautiful young girls who have beautiful young skin. And while no matter what age you are, you can still have beautiful young looking skin, I do think that once you get to a certain point, it's just not as flattering at all to pile on so much. It becomes very apparent that you are trying to cover, and that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to enhance. So that's what we're getting into today. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe. You know you want to. And if you're not new here, hey, what's up? How's your mom and them? And we're just going to get started with this. This is a tutorial, so that means I'm going to have a naked face in a 3, a 2, a 1. Alright guys, so all I have on my skin so far is a moisturizer. This is the Kiehl's Ultra Facial Cream. It's a priming moisturizer, I guess, if you want to call it that. Obviously use any moisturizer you want, but no matter what your skin situation is, wear moisturizer. And I don't want this to be a whole video about prepping your skin for foundation and foundation choosing and this, that, and the third. So if you want to see that, let me know. But suffice it to say, regardless of what your foundation preferences are, skin prep is crucial. And no matter what kind of skin you have, I'm going to say it again, you need to moisturize it. So the one thing I want you to keep in mind, regardless of what your preference is for your complexion routine, is that you are going to have to begin your complexion routine with the end in mind. What does that mean? Okay, so I have oily skin. I have to use powder, and I have to use more powder than I wish I had to use. My makeup will break up and fall off my face. It just does every time. So I tend to moisturize really well on top of keeping my skin exfoliated and taking really good care of it in general, because I don't want the powder, which is the most dry thing that I'm going to put on my face, to look dry. At the end of my complexion routine, my skin will look dewy and plump and hydrated and not dry and chalky, which can happen when we have to use a lot of powder. All that being said, skin is prepped. I'm going to move on to under eyes right away. And I like to brighten up the under eye area and bring a little bit of lift and focus to this area. But what I'm not going to do, and what I would encourage you guys not to do, is to focus on making this under eye area as light or white as possible. You want it to be brighter. Big difference. And my favorite under eye corrector is actually from Becca. It's the Becca Under Eye Corrector in light to medium. This one isn't so orange or tangerine or coral that it's kind of, I don't know, in your face about it. You could wear this by itself if you wanted to, and it would just make your under eye look brighter without being, that kind of comically orange under eye corrector, which is really only needed for a very specific type of under eye circle on a specific type of complexion. Those kind of one size fits all color correcting kits, I would not recommend getting things like that. Get individual products that work for your skin tone, and you'll hear me repeat that several times today. So I'm just going to take that under eye corrector, and I'm going to start by putting this directly under my eye, as you can probably assume. I did put a little bit of eye cream on as well. I also recommend you do that if you are going to be applying any kind of measurable amount of under eye makeup. There's a lot of opinions about whether or not eye creams work, and if you don't agree with the efficacy of an eye cream for the long term, I can tell you that adding an extra layer of hydration underneath the eye just for your makeup will make it wear better, look nicer, kind of plump up those fine lines and wrinkles. It's just a nice extra step to take. And like, that's all I've done, and I already feel like I look better. And let's talk about brushes and sponges really quick while we're at it. I see tons of people who apply their foundation and concealer and everything with just a sponge. And I'm not saying you can't do that. By all means, if it's working for you, keep it going. But I would implore you to attempt to place your product on the skin with a brush and blend it with a sponge. The Beauty Blender and its many, inceptions that we have seen over the past few years is intended to blend. That's why it's called the blender. And again, like I said, you can apply your makeup straight with it, I guess, but it's going to absorb tons of that product. You're really just kind of smushing it around. And when it's covered in product, I don't feel like it can actually blend anyway. You're just smearing it. I just prefer to apply all of my complexion products with a brush and then blend my edges and things like that with a sponge. It will also absorb excess product. And if your sponge is wet, which it should be, I didn't know that people were not aware that you're supposed to wet these. You are. I'm going to encourage you guys as much as you can to go with the most sheer coverage foundation that you can get away from. Now, that's why I targeted this tutorial to the grown folk, because I'm not saying that younger girls shouldn't do this. I think it actually is most flattering in general on everyone. It's just that I think young girls can get away with more makeup, so they do. And the older you get, the more makeup you wear, the older it makes you look. It kind of makes it look like you are obviously trying to hide something, as opposed to like younger girls, when they do it, it just looks glam and like perfect. And enjoy it, ladies. Enjoy your cellulite-free ass and your wrinkle-free skin while you can. But yeah, basically what I'm getting at is the more sheer you can go, the better. I'm always going to recommend MAC Face and Body for the more sheer foundation. This is a great every single day foundation. I wear this more than anything else personally. It's just that I can't wear it for very long because I'm oily, and this is a water-based foundation, and oil and water don't mix. So I tend to mix a few things together, shear them out, blend it out, and just try to get a nice evening of the complexion. That's really the point I'm trying to make. That's what the foundation of your makeup is for. Concealer is to hide everything else. And you see girls all the time on like YouTube. It's the younger girls, like I said. It's not the grown folk doing this because we just can't no more. It's always the younger girls who are applying like full coverage foundation with a second mask of full coverage concealer, and then baking it with a full coverage powder. It's just so much. What you want to create is the illusion that your skin is beautiful, not your makeup. So all that being said, let's move on to foundation. I'm actually going to do NARS Sheer Glow, which is a beautiful, beautiful foundation for, I think almost anyone could get away with this unless you're extremely oily. If you're super oily, then you might as well go with a matte foundation, which a lot of people are not excited about because they think that it's going to look harsh and cakey. But when you already have oily skin and you wear a matte foundation, it's kind of like that natural oil will come in and like even the whole thing out if you are truly oily. But anyway, so I'm going to take NARS Sheer Glow, put a little bit on the back of my hand. Use a palette if you don't want to be a messy bitch. So this is all I'm starting with. So this is all I have on my hand right now. But I'm going to take this brush. This is the Smith 115 foundation brush. I really like this one a lot. And I'm going to start in the center of my face. Why? We don't want to start applying a lot of foundation in the outer perimeter of our face because for the most part, we don't really have a lot of stuff to cover out here. It's a lot of like the center of the face, around the mouth, around the nose, center of the forehead. And that's also what people are looking at anyway. So start in the center. And there's really no rhyme or reason to this. It's just applying it with a brush. Okay, so look. I haven't even put any out here yet. You would never know because like I said, the perimeter of your face doesn't need as much as the center anyway. One reason you might want to take your foundation and like be very intentional about bringing it out here is if your foundation is not a perfect match for you, which again, I can do a foundation video at some point if you would prefer. But other than that, it should be most opaque or full coverage in the center, and we're going to get a little softer as we move our way out. But I will say, don't forget your ears, girls. Like, You don't need to paint your ears or anything, but you don't want there to be some huge obvious difference between the tone of your ears and the tone of your face, because if they catch you in the side profile or like a little side pick, it's going to look really weird and very mask-like. So obviously, the better condition that your skin is in, the less makeup you have to wear anyway, which should be the goal. I already filmed a video, I think it's already live, about where to splurge and where to save on your beauty routine. And I'm going to say it again just in case you missed it. You should be spending your money on making things better instead of covering them up. And I've always talked about skincare on my channel as a very important component of makeup. It is more important than anything, honestly, as far as your makeup is concerned. So take this as inspiration to really work on the skin so you don't have to wear as much makeup, and then it already looks more natural and realistic and you look younger already. Okay, so that's all I'm gonna put on. I still have all of this left on my hand. I'm taking this damp sponge and I am working this into my skin and blending it. It's going to absorb the excess and it's going to get rid of any brush marks, and it's really helping the foundation become one with the skin. And the benefit of that is when it's really like pressed into the skin and blended well, it makes the makeup look more invisible, and it's a lot less obvious that you have products sitting on the skin at all. So we're gonna move on to concealer. I used to do cream contour before concealer. That was like my thing for a long time. And my reason was, if I apply my contour in any area and I don't like how it looks, and I can use concealer to clean it up. The only problem with doing that is I think it results in you using too much of both. Because if you put on your contour and then you put on concealer and then you also are using concealer to clean it up, I think you're running right back into that foundation underneath a mask of concealer, underneath a mask. Like, we're trying to be light-handed about this. I have two concealers in front of me. I have Tarte Shape Tape and NARS Radiant Creamy. I could go either way. It just depends on what I'm going for. I will say that when I'm running errands, if I'm going on a lunch, something outdoor, something bright, natural light is going to be basically what I'm working with. I'm going to do something like MAC Face and Body with a NARS Radiant Creamy, because NARS Radiant Creamy is glowy and hydrating and soft and a little bit more real looking. It looks like skin. Tarte Shape Tape ain't that at all. It is full coverage, opaque, no joke. It's for real. And it depends on what you're going for. I think you should be going for the more sheer foundation and then putting your full coverage concealer on top of it. You blend them together. It just looks like your skin is beautiful. And that's what we're trying to do. So today, because I'm filming, I'm going to use Tarte Shape Tape, and I have light medium and light neutral. They're kind of the same color. One's a little more pink than the other one, like by a hair. So here we go. Here's both of them mixed together on the back of my hand. And I got this trick from Harush. I will leave my video where I tried out a bunch of her makeup techniques down below. So I'm taking this brush. I actually got this in makeup school. I cannot believe I still have this thing. It just kind of has this synthetic kind of concealer brush thing on the back. I'm taking a little bit of the concealer. It's all up on that brush. I'm going to wipe some off. I would say, as a rule of thumb, anytime you're applying anything to the face, I would touch the back of your hand first. Again, that's a makeup artist thing, but it is a way to control how much you're using, and you can always add more. Not so easy to take away. So what I've been doing for concealer lately that makes a huge difference in my face is I kind of focus, and this isn't even just like my technique, it's tons of people be doing this. So I take the concealer along the side of my nose. This is going to look like I'm applying a lot because it's a bright color and it's really full coverage. So you're going to see this spread pretty far. Trust me, it is not as much as you think it is, okay? Just take my word for it. I'm not saying this to flex. I'm saying it because I want you to be mindful of that when you apply this. But we're going to apply it. We're going to apply it right here. We're going to apply it right here. Bring it on down. And we're going to really do this number, okay? I'm going to apply a little here, and then I'm going to pull this up. Like, don't go out like this. I feel like a lot of girls do that when they're doing the concealer. They'll go like this. And that's fine. But like I said, this is kind of like a lifting, youth, glowy vibe. We don't want to go out. We want to go up. So this line is going straight up. And then I'll kind of pull it down a little bit. I have not picked any more product up, like so. Then I'm going to take a synthetic brush. This is the MAC 224 brush. And I'm going to start kind of blending it. I mean, I'm not kind of blending it. I am blending it. But I'm also going to hit it with that Beauty Blender again as well. This is just a way to kind of start buffing it out. Then we're going to take our sponge. Okay, I look funny and I know it. I just wanted to give you guys some tips. First of all, apply a little concealer right here, if you want to, in the outer corners of the mouth, going straight up. It's another way to bring that lift thing we're going for. Like, I don't know if you guys can tell how, like, my brush is touching my face like this. Don't do this shit. Just lightly. And that should just be the way you blend everything, honestly. It's the easiest way to control where your product goes. Things of that nature. The way you hold your brush in general is kind of the main thing. It's not even just about what kind, it's how you hold it, it's how you blend it. That is part of what you get good at when you do makeup over and over and over again, like when I was doing it professionally. All right, concealer's done. Now let's move on to contour. I'm gonna do cream and powder today just to kind of show you guys how I do both of them, but you don't have to do both. I feel like if you want it to look more natural, cream is the way to go, because it just blends into the skin better. It just looks like it's coming, like the shadow is coming from the face, as opposed to, again, you got makeup doing that. And that's kind of what I think the main difference between kind of grown folk makeup and younger girl. And when I say young girl, I kind of mean girls like in their teens up until like their mid to late 20s. I'm 35 in February, so this is kind of, that's why I do it this way. I do, however, think this particular way of doing it is most universally flattering regardless, but that's just my opinion. So, Fenty Cream bronzers, I have Amber and I have Macchiato. Macchiato is a warm kind of tan color and Amber is a cool gray toned shade. I have both because sometimes I mix them, sometimes I use one, sometimes I use two. Oh my gosh. Ah! But what I really want you to pay attention to is the fact that this is not a contour kit. Nothing I'm using is coming out of a kit, because kits are just one size fits all. And I truly believe a beautiful foundation and skin routine comes from customizing things that work for you. So if you notice, almost everything I do, I have two shades I'm mixing together. It's usually a yellow one or a pink one because I am neutral pink, more neutral than anything. So I mix things. One of these is warmer, one of these is cooler. It just depends on what's happening. Today I am only going to use Macchiato because I am freshly tanned, although you wouldn't know because like I look so washed out on camera right now, but I am, I swear. I'm going to take this and this guy. This is the Jaclyn Hill and Morphe JH07 brush. Any kind of tapered pointy brush like this will work. I just like this one because it's duo fiber and I don't know, I've been into it. I'm going to take my cream bronzer, warm it up a little bit, just so it kind of blends a little easier. Back of the hand like always. I'm going to I don't know why I need to do a song with it, but I'm going to just kind of get her in there. Back of the hand. And when you're applying cream bronzer, what you do not want to do is that stripe thing that used to be so popular. I don't know what the point of that was except for like demonstrative purposes, but it's so much harder to blend when you draw a straight line, lines all over your face and then go try to blend it out. I don't really see the point of that. So we're going to take our brush and we're going to do this. Do you see how my brush is going up? Look how my brush is touching my skin. It's literally this soft. I'm not digging, I'm not pressing. You don't want to move your existing foundation, but just, and that is plenty, more than enough. Taking my sponge, softening it. That's why I said use your brushes first and then your sponge, because it's blending. That's the point of it. Now, doing it this way, applying it in light layers, taking it off on the back of your hand, and pushing your brush up is going to eliminate the need that some people have. They'll go through with concealer or like baking powder to clean all of this up because their bronzer's dragging their face down now. But if you make it a point, like I said, the placement of your brush matters, to push everything up when you're applying, it's a lot more helpful. And anyway, that's our goal. We're trying to lift it, girl. So up, 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 up. If you do find that you want to clean your contour up, take your foundation brush, not your concealer, because your concealer ostensibly is lighter. And really what we're trying to pay attention to is that all the colors that are on our face, between our foundation, our contour, our bronzer, our blush, our highlighter, they all need to be seamless. And if you're taking like a bright concealer and putting it under here, and then there's flesh tone here, but then there's bronzer here, and then there's blood, you're not doing that. So use your old brushes, particularly your foundation brush, to clean up your mistakes or to soften edges as you go. I did get a question about how to do the jawline without it looking crazy or obvious. Here's the thing. You can do it. You can contour or structure your jaw area however you want. The thing that's going to make it look crazy, in my opinion, is if you try to take it too far. We just have to be okay with what we have to an extent. Now, if you're not feeling your healthiest or your lightest and you're not happy with your face and your jawline and you want to carve it up to make it look slimmer, I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying that the more you fight what you're working with, the more obvious it is. I mean, that's just like common sense, right? So step one, go lightly. You know, don't try to redo your whole face. It's never the most time effective thing to do. And B, I don't think it's flattering. You just want to accentuate a little bit what you have. So to answer it more practically though, you're just going to do it the same way I did my cheeks. So I'm taking a little bit, back of the hand, and I'm not going up necessarily because I don't want bronzer all in this area. I'm just kind of going over. And the main thing is you need to blend all in this area, like along your neck and stuff. If you take nothing away from this video, I would say makeup is great to enhance and improve slightly, but if we can't vibe with or roll with what we have to an extent, the makeup is just going to take over the whole show. Like, don't try to fight everything so much. I guess that's my point. So I have cream contour on. I have concealer on. Now we're going to set everything. And as I aforementioned, I am oily, so I have to bake a little bit, but not a whole lot. The first thing I'm going to do before I apply my powder is I'm going to take my beauty blender one more time. This isn't even a beauty blender. This is a Real Technique sponge. And I'm going to make sure to do this kind of back and forth motion we talked about to make sure I'm not about to set a crease. If you have creasy concealer and then put powder on top of it, you're just going to set that crease in place all day. So don't do that. Make sure you already don't have any creases. And then as quickly as you can, particularly if you're worried about creasing, take your powder. This is the Hourglass Veil, and quickly set that in place. Do that first before you powder anything else. Isn't this a freaky face I'm making? Okay, then I'm going to take a big powder brush. You can do this with a powder puff. I have in the past, but this is just easier. And I'm going to take the Hourglass Veil again. I'm going to kind of dig it into my brush, get it all up in that son bitch. Then tap off the excess, and I'm going to powder my whole face because I'm oily and I need it. I wish I didn't. Every time I watch like Nikki Wolf, do makeup on someone and they have like that kind of skin that doesn't take powder and she just puts all this glowy hydrating stuff on it, I'm just like, why not me? It'll never be me. There's very little powder on this brush. I'm picking this brush and this powder because while I do need powder, I don't need a shit ton of it because I'm really going to powder more heavily the areas of my face that I need it, and the rest I'm going to leave alone. But I still need a little something. So Veil from Hourglass is an OG. Everybody loves it for a reason because it don't look like powder. It's just beautiful and soft and really, really nice. Now, for the oily girls, this is what you need. This is Laura Mercier, Loose Translucent. Many have tried to be this guy, and she is truly one of a kind. So I'm going to take my baking powder on a sponge, same one I've been using this whole time, and I only apply a little bit of bake in a few places. So I'm not even going to apply a lot, and I'm not going to apply it for like 20 minutes. I just apply it directly under my eyes. I'm going to put some on my forehead, like right in the center, because that's where I get oily. Chin, because same. I'm going to leave this sitting for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. I don't let it sit for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I mean, you can again, but I think it just looks heavier. And the point of this can be to brighten up further if that's what you want to do, but I don't really want that. I just want it to really make sure that my concealer and my makeup stays in place. So I don't feel the need or really notice a difference in that capacity if I leave it on for 20 seconds or 5 minutes. But I will notice a difference in how bright it is, and that is what I don't want. Because again, we've already applied like a brightening under eye corrector, a lighter concealer, like we're layering, but because we began with the end in mind, we don't have to pile it all on in one step. I'm going to pull this powder away from my nose as opposed to swiping it everywhere like that. I'm actually going to mix the Fenty Beauty Eyelinting bronzer, if it will open, with the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow contour shade. Again, pink, warm. Like I tend to just mix a warmer and a cooler thing together all the time. It's just, I think it's most flattering on me. You're going to have to go off of your own undertones and what flatters you. I'm going to mix them both together on my brush. This is the Wayne Goss 11. I love this brush for bronzer. All of Wayne Goss's brushes are so friggin' soft, it makes no sense. I definitely think for Christmas I'm going to buy myself more. So here we have totally covered in bronzer. I usually cut this out so you guys don't hear it, but listen. That is me getting bronzer off my brush. Don't go straight in with this. You want to go light. And again, we want the brush to touch our skin like so. Don't drag and swish. So we're just lightly kind of running this where we want it to go. Pushing up again. If I'm going any direction that's not circular, it's up. Okay, I'm going to do my lash line off camera really quick, and then I'll come back and do cheeks and wrap this whole thing up. We're going to go ahead and move on to blush. But before we do, I'm going to take this ball. I almost said this ball. Girl, it's been a long day. I'm going to take this brush right here. This is the Heavenly Luxe Wand Ball Powder Brush from IT Cosmetics. I love this thing. Any brush that is dense, you want something that's going to be able to really hold on to the product and let it go. Let it go. Let it go. I like this one because it has kind of a tip. And again, because I want to just lightly take this across the skin. We're not dragging it and smearing stuff. We're just buffing lightly. So I'm going to take this with some of that Hourglass Veil powder. Not a lot, not a lot. Gonna get a ball up in there, tapping it off. And I am just going to lightly run this along my skin to blend all my edges. So my bronzer edges, that's really all I have on right now is my bronzer, but just to soften everything. And a good tip or trick for you guys in general, if you're ever having problem blending anything, eyeshadow, blush, whatever, take a brush, put a little bit of loose powder on it, like I said, even if it's eyeshadow, and it will blend whatever you're trying to work with out a lot better. We're going to go along that jawline because we added some stuff there. For blush, I'm doing Buxom Dolly. I've been talking about this blush a lot lately. It's my favorite one ever these days. It's gorgeous. So taking this guy with any blush brush. Where you apply your blush is going to dictate how your cheeks look. So if you put your blush right here, it's going to make your cheek look droopy. If you put it up here, it's going to make your cheek look higher. So your placement is important, but it depends on what you want. I kind of go on the side, just kind of right above the contour, but not too much. It will kind of help blend that contour if you kind of run it over, but not too much, just like so. And then I always take it on my nose and on my forehead too. Again, the point is, because you don't want it to be like white, pink, brown, tan, brown, white, pink. Like you just kind of want everything to be living together harmoniously on the face. If you're going to do a setting spray, I would do it now before you do highlighter, because when you have just a little bit of moisture on the skin, when you apply highlighter, I feel like it just kind of sinks into that moisture as opposed to just sitting on top of the powder, which I don't really like the appearance of. So I'm going to take this guy. For highlighter, I'm just going to take the one out of the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow. And I'm just going to kind of wrap it around the brow like so. It'll look nice when you get caught from the side. And then I'm just going to take a small eyeshadow brush and put a little bit right here. I've been doing this for over a year. If you're not someone who can put highlighter like on the apple of their cheeks, which I don't really think I like that look anyway, it just looks like little silver balls sitting on your face. Put it right here so you can still get that effect of the glow looking dead on at each other. Looking dead on each other. When people are looking dead on at you, wow. Girl. Okay, I'm gonna do my lipstick off camera and then I'll be right back to wrap all this up. All right, guys, this is the finished look. I feel really pretty in this type of a complexion routine. I feel like depending on what you're going for, what your preferred coverage level, whatever the case may be, this is kind of the way to go. Because, like I said, it looks good in real life and it looks good on camera. I hope. I don't know. I haven't seen this footage yet, but in real life, looks great. It'll photograph well. It should be comfortable, not too cakey. It should hide your flaws, but not change the way you look completely. So let me know if you guys have any questions about it down below. And as always, thank you to the patrons. We are doing our last live stream of November tomorrow. I was trying to get everything done before we all kind of adjourned for the holidays, which, side note, happy holidays to you and yours. This week is proving to be potentially a little bit challenging. This will be 1 year from the day that my mother passed away. I mean, she passed away on December 8th, but it was 2 days before Thanksgiving that I got the call that things were taking the turn that they ended up taking. And it has been a hard year in so many ways for me. I just want to thank every single one of you guys who have stayed with me on Patreon, stayed with me in the Facebook group, stayed on the channel, hung out with me. It's been rough. It's been really hard. And I feel so clear-headed and positive, and the lessons that I will continue to learn from my mother passing away, I'm sure will be invaluable and all make sense to me one day. The ones I've already learned have been extremely helpful and beneficial. And that's really all we can do, is just try to focus on the lessons that we can learn from the tough stuff that maybe we've been going through. And I do have some videos coming out about things of that nature coming in December. So if you're interested in that kind of content, definitely thumbs up the video. But other than that, I'm going to get out of here. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, and I will catch you in the next one.